بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نرحب بكم جميعا باسم غرفة الرياض ممثلة بلجنة التسويق، ونشكركم على إعطائنا وقتكم الثمين لحضور محاضرة بعنوان تحليل البيانات الضخمة واستخداماتها في التسويق. وغرفة الرياض من خلال لجنة التسويق تقدم لكم الكثير من الفعاليات والمحاضرات التثقيفية في مجال التسويق. بمشيئة الله جميع المسجلين في المحاضرة اليوم ستصلهم رسائل في فعاليات اللجنة القادمة. لدينا فعاليات كثيرة فيما يخص التسويق خلال عام 2017، وستصلكم جميعا دعوات للحضور الفعاليات بمشيئة الله. محاضرتنا اليوم هي بعنوان تحليل البيانات الضخمة واستخداماتها في التسويق. يقدمها السيد ماركوس راميريز، وهو مدير برامج البيانات الضخمة بكلية IE للأعمال بمدينة مدريد الإسبانية. والسيد ماركوس يحمل البكالوريوس في هندسة النظم، وماجستير بتحليل البيانات الضخمة، وماجستير في إدارة الأعمال. والحقيقة فرصة لغرفة الرياض أن تلتقي بشخص متمرس ومتمكن مثل السيد ماركوس لتقديمه لكم في هذه المحاضرة. معنا الزميل طارق العنقري، وهو عضو لجنة التسويق، ولديه مشاركة بخصوص جامعة مدريد. يعطيكم نبذة بسيطة عنها. تفضل أخ طارق.
مساكم الله بالخير وحياكم الله جميعا. أنا ممثل لجنة التسويق، وأيضا ممثل نادي خريجي جامعة IE بزنس سكول في الرياض أو في السعودية. الجامعة مصنفة من فاينانشال تايمز في الفول تايم MBA رقم 8 على مستوى العالم. فوقها هارفارد وييل، أعلى من ييل الجامعة في التصنيف، فوقها انسياد و7 جامعات ثانية. يميزها عن هالجامعات الأخرى أنها متعمقة في موضوع الانوفيشن وفي الديتا أناليتكس وفي التكنولوجي عموما، في ودمجها مع قطاع الأعمال. فهالخبرة هذا اللي تكونت خلال الجامعة من أول الجامعات اللي دخلت في هالمجال وطورت منتج ومحتوى تعليمي بهالخصوص. الأستاذ ماركوس هذه أول زيارة له للسعودية، وزرنا بعض الشركات. وحاليا لأي معلومات إضافية قبل أترك المجال للأستاذ ماركوس، موقع الجامعة ie.edu فيها لينك اسمه events أو الأحداث أو المحاضرات الجامعة اللي بتعقدها، وموجود محاضرات بشكل شهري في مجالات مختلفة. أي شيء له علاقة بمجال التسويق احنا نسعد أنه طبعا نعقده مع لجنة الأعمال. عندنا بكرة في الفور سيزن محاضرة ثانية عن تتركز في الفرص الوظيفية للمتخصصين في هالمجالات، في السايبر سيكيورتي خاصة. عندنا هجمات إلكترونية هالكم يوم وقطاع الأعمال، ونسعد بتشريفكم أولا هنا في الجهد العظيم اللي تقوم به لجنة التسويق بقيادة الدكتور، وأيضا مستقبلا تشرفونا في الفور سيزن في الإيفنت حق الجامعة والإيفنتات الثانية. أترك الميكروفون لماركوس وسعيدين بمشاركتكم.
تفضل سيد ماركوس.
من 6:30 تبدأ، وفي الإيفنت في لو موقع الجامعة ie.edu، هذا ويب سايت الجامعة، في مربع كبير اسمه events EVENTS. يطلع لك خريطة العالم، تختار السعودية، يطلع لك كل الايفنتس اللي بتصير في السعودية، من ضمنها الفور سيزن بكرة. بيكون فيه خبير في السايبر سيكيورتي، وبيكون فيه أيضا ماركس يتكلم عن الفرص الوظيفية الآن. ie.edu من education بس. That's it. بالضبط. الله يحييك.
الأخوان حيكون اللغة الرئيسية للمحاضرة طبعا حتكون من خلال الترجمة اللغة العربية. حيكون المحاضر يقدم في حدود الساعة المحتوى المحاضرة، بعد الساعة حيكون نعطيكم الفرصة بمشيئة الله لأي سؤال استفسار لكم على أي نقطة في المحاضرة، يكون الوقت بعد انتهاء المحاضرة. شكرا.
So, well, thank you for the introduction to today's session. So, my name is Marcos Ramirez, and I am the Director for the Data Science and Technology Programs at IE. So, well, it's a pleasure being here today in order to deliver this session about data science and its impact on today's business, and we will focus today's session on the topic of marketing. So I would like to ask everyone if you are familiar with the data science or big data. Is anyone working already on this? Can you raise your hands, please, the ones who are working? So very few people are working on data science as of now. Okay, well, that's great. So the idea today is that we do this interactive session, so I will be asking also some questions to you, to the audience, so be ready to participate. And in case you have any questions or doubts, feel free to raise your hands at any time of the session in order to do any question, okay? So just to put you in context for those ones who are maybe not that familiar with this topic, we're currently leading a data explosion nowadays. So this chart is plotted till 2030. So as we can see, there is a lot of data coming from sensors and devices and coming from social media on the next 15 years approximately. So there will be a huge exponential growth of this information. Just 90% of existing data has been generated in the last few years. So imagine the amount of data that we will continue generating in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and so on. So this is the reason why big data, we say that it's a trend, but it's a trend that it's here to stay. So it's something that won't disappear on the next 3 years, 5 years. It's not something that is popular right now, and then in 5 years, it won't be. It's something that is here to stay, and this is the reason why companies, why governments are investing on hiring professionals that know how to deal with these new complex business challenges. So take a look to this circle that we have on the screen. This is what has happened on 1 internet minute last year in terms of data generation coming from different applications and different sources. So if we take a look to this circle, we can imagine the amount of data that is generated on our world in 1 minute. Imagine in 1 day, 1 month, or 1 year. It's huge. And this is the challenge that companies are actually facing when trying to analyze this information. So just take a look to the amount of messages, for example, that are sent every single minute in our world. Over 20 million messages on WhatsApp. Or here, for example, over 150 million emails sent on 1 minute. So imagine the amount of complex data that you have behind this in order to be analyzed as a company or as a government, and the different uses that you can give to this information. So here the key, obviously, is to understand how to get value out from this data. So what is big data in reality? So everyone is talking about big data, everyone is talking about data science, but very few people in reality understands what is big data. Does anyone knows what is big data here? Maybe the ones that are more familiar. What is big data for you?
Big data, factually speaking, it's the initial part of going into having information.
Okay.
Without data, you cannot have information. As part of the information, then you will go to the knowledge part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on what type of activity you want to tackle. Is it marketing or any whatever?
Or any other thing. Okay.
So initially, this is the importance part.
Okay. You wanted to say something else?
Yeah, I think for me, big data is where you have a huge amount of data. A single, like if you take one information from that data, it doesn't make really any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you combine them all together, they make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it deals with collecting, obviously, information and also taking a look into the big picture, connecting the different dots as well in order to give a meaning to the information. Someone else want to say something?
Yeah, well, we can say the historical traffic that has been done on a specific server or whatever it is, especially if we are talking about electronic data and electronic traffic on the network. That's I think expression, the best explanation to it as historical topic.
Yeah. So combining these three opinions that we have got right now, we agree, everyone, that it deals with information, obviously. So it's about collecting information. It's about giving meaning to that information. It's about data collection in terms of volume, if we take a look into the historical data. So if we build a definition around big data, we can define big data as the analysis of information using statistics combined with technology in order to be able to extract relevant insights out of that information, which will help us in order to make effective decisions on any type of industry or any type of business. So that is what big data means in reality. So if we Google this concept, we will see that it's defined by different variables. So we will see that big data deals with volume, with variety, and with velocity. So volume refers to the scale of data, if it's a large data set or a smaller data set. Variety refers to different types of information and different sources. If we think of the circle that we were looking into at the beginning of the presentation, we can see that there were different sources of data and different formats of that data. So most of the data that we have nowadays is unstructured data, which means that it's complex data in order to be analyzed. And this makes it even more challenging for companies in order to get value out of that information. And finally, velocity, which refers to the analysis of data in real time or stream processing. So these are the three B's that define also the concept of big data. But there is a fourth B, which is the most important one, when we are analyzing data, on top of volume, variety, and velocity. Some people say it's veracity, but well, veracity is not a measure of magnitude, as it says on the screen. Some others talk about data viscosity, how dense is the data, how complex is the data. But which V do you think is the most important one? And maybe someone has the answer here. It's not volume, velocity, and variety. So which one do you think is the fourth V, which defines the concept of big data? No, not validity. And I think I have mentioned that word on the speech before.
Can we say something? Can we circulate information?
No, it starts with V.
V?
Visualization, it's an output that we will see now on the next slides, but no. B, yes. No idea? No clue?
V as a victim?
Yes, who said that over there? Yes, you are right, over there. Thanks.
What is it?
Value.
Value.
So the reason why everyone wants to invest on the use of these new technologies and hiring people on data science, it's to generate value for their businesses or for their governments. So this is why they want data analysts, data scientists, in order to be able to extract relevant insights, which mean to extract value out of all that information and take effective decisions based on that. So big data is not something new. It has been there for many years already. So if we go back to 2004, there were companies like the one that it's illustrating this picture that already have huge amount of information. So these companies started using these new technologies as Hadoop, for example. Which company do you think is this one being illustrated here on the screen with this picture?
IBM?
No? Yes, who said Google? Yes, thanks. It's Google. So Google and Yahoo were the two companies that started using these new type of open source technologies as Hadoop in order to be able to process in parallel huge data sets and be able to analyze this information and get relevant insights or relevant outputs out of it. So what has been the key thing on the last years is that big data can be applied into any type of industry. So going back 10 years, it was only applied into IT, into financial services, but nowadays what we can see, and this is the innovation actually, is that it's being applied into any type of industry, any field. So it can go from financial services through consumer goods, retail, banking, healthcare, manufacturing, and so on. Public sector as well. So this is why it's so important right now and why companies, businesses, and governments, everyone is interested on this topic nowadays. So there are a lot of data-driven business models that have been emerging recently on the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, as the one that we have here on the screen, Amazon.com. So at Amazon, we can use it as a very good example of recommendation engine system. 1 out of 3 purchases that happen at Amazon, it's because of the optimization of the recommendation system. And this is very important, actually, when you're trying to increase your sales. Companies like Amazon and like Walmart have increased their sales effectively by optimizing that recommendation system. And this is very important also to solve certain marketing problems. The companies that you have here on the screen below as well are examples of data-driven business models. Facebook, Netflix, Yahoo, Twitter, LinkedIn, eBay, among others. So what these companies have in common is that all these companies have been players in the market not for that long. So some companies have been maybe playing based on data with 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, no more than that. So what is important to highlight here is that all the companies and businesses that are not developing analytical capabilities will tend to disappear in the following years, because data analytics is becoming a competitive advantage for any business. And this is the reason why it's so important to take care of these initiatives and the use of these new technologies. So data science is something that is transforming our industries. So here we have some quick examples just to mention and to show how big data is transforming different aspects of our lives. As government initiatives, politics, manufacturing or automotive sector, media entertainment. So going a little bit deeper into this example that we have here, and I like this example a lot because you can clarify and you can explain very easily what the data scientist does on their daily day-to-day. So data scientists being the expert analyzing data, what they do, for example, here, talking about this picture, you have a map of Singapore. So what you're seeing there is a map of Singapore with these blue lines, which are simulating rain, and the green lines are simulating the traffic patterns on the country. So this project has been done in collaboration between the MIT government and between the MIT lab, and the Singapore government. And what these data scientists were doing here, first of all, was defining the business question. And this is the first step when you're mapping a data science project in any industry or in any business function, like it could be marketing. So what was the business question here? Well, the business question was, how can I reduce traffic on Singapore? Pretty simple, pretty clear. So in order to do that, the data scientists should start thinking how they can collect information in order to be able to solve this problem. So how can they collect information? Well, in this example, they have used 2 techniques. The first one was using sensors on the streets in order to be able to measure, for example, the amount of cars that were crossing at a particular point on the city. The speed of the car also can be measured through these sensors. Another aspect that they have used was a GPS on the sample that they have defined. They have defined a sample taxis for this problem. Why? Because you have a lot of taxis in Singapore and they are spread across the whole country. So it's a very good way of sampling the traffic patterns. So after doing the data collection, they have done data structuring. Structuring of the information means cleaning that data. Many companies, many businesses have already the data sets, so you don't need to collect the data. However, here the challenge is how to clean that data and how to use that data effectively. So you need to prepare the data in order to be analyzed, which will be the third step that a data scientist does, data analytics. Which model I will be using here, which data science technique or machine learning technique I will be using in order to be able to analyze that information. And finally, the implementation phase, which is also important. What will be my output? So in this case, the implementation could be determining in which area of the country I need more public transportation maybe because there's more traffic, or in which area of the country I need maybe more taxis at a certain time of the day when it's raining in order to give a better service to the citizens. So this can be outputs or implementation. of this problem. So as you can see, here we can clearly understand what a data scientist does. So this is the day-to-day activity in general terms of a data professional or a data expert. And we could talk a lot of different examples. Politics, for example, data science has been driving the last elections on the USA by analyzing the behavior of the consumers, or in this case, the behavior of the voters. So this can help the politicians determine what will be the speech, the type of speech that the voters will like. So they can analyze through social media, Twitter, Facebook, the behavior of the people and what people like. In media entertainment, talking about Netflix and Spotify, it's more or less the same example as in Amazon. So these two companies are successful because of recommendation engine systems. And finally, well, we will talk about the automotive sector, the self-driving car, later on. It's something that it's not just transforming our industries, but it's also transforming our society. How many of you like a football here on the room? Can you raise your hands? Okay, good. Do you like Spanish football? Yes, okay. Who supports Real Madrid? Okay, Barcelona. Okay, I think Barcelona wins maybe today. Okay, good. So it's something that is transforming also our day-to-day activities. As we have here this picture of sports. So what we have here, it's one small screen, maybe a screenshot, maybe you cannot see it over there, but what it's showing is the analytics that you can take on a football match from the players in real time by SAP. So this type of technologies can measure up to 25 movements per second. So imagine how much data you can get from a football match in 90 minutes from the players. So this data, it's taken from all the sensors that the players have on their bodies. And this information can help teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona to prevent when a player will have an injury. So if we think about business for these two teams, they are reducing costs by preventing the injuries on their players. So this is quite interesting to see also how data science is transforming any type of sector, any type of business, going from public and private institutions to activities that we do daily as sports. And I would like to show you this a final example, which is a data visualization. And this is very interesting for the marketing sector as well. And it's showing the financial footprints of the tourists in Spain on 2014. So I will put this data visualization on Google because it's live, so that you can see what is the behavior of the tourists on the Spanish geography during the summer of 2014. Who has gone to Spain from here? Who has visited Spain? 1, 2, 3, over 4? Well, very few people, so maybe we need to advertise more Spain in Saudi Arabia for tourism. Yeah, we will use data. We will suggest that to the embassy. So, there you have the Spanish. I will put it here so that everyone can see it. Okay, is it clear? Yeah, right? So let's leave it there. Okay. So, what you have in real time being shown at the map are the number of transactions that are taking place at Spain. So here you have the date, and here you have the time of the day. And every single blue dot that you have on the map represents a transaction. So how this data has been collected? Well, it has been collected through the use of credit cards. So every time a tourist has swiped their credit card through the bank machine, the bank has collected their data. So obviously, you can start analyzing your consumer. So for any marketing problem, it's essential to understand consumer. Companies are investing on a lot of different marketing projects currently, but the category in which they are investing the most, it's customer analytics. So how to understand my customer. So here the bank can do that by analyzing the information that we are seeing on the screen. So they have collected a lot of data from different countries. So I will open the list of the countries that are being displayed on the map so that you can see all of them. And I will invite the audience to choose or to pick up 2 countries from this list so that we can compare the behavior of the people from these 2 countries. So let me show all of them, and then you pick 2. Okay, Emirates can be one. Which other one? I suggest. Sorry? China, okay, and States. We can do those 3. China, the States, and UAE, because it's the country that maybe follows same pattern of the region. It's Middle East. So Saudi Arabia is not there. As you have seen, not many people has visited the country, and the analysis is just displaying the countries that have spent the largest amount of money during that summer. So that's the reason why these will be grouped into others. Okay? So let's take a look at first to UAE. So right now, what you will be seeing is the transactions done by tourists of UAE in real time during 2014. Which differences do you see between the previous visualization and this one? Yeah, well, that's to represent that it's just displaying one data, the data of one country. So it's in purple.
Most of the transactions happen in the coast side or shore side of the country. More than the previous one, it was
Scattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. The previous one was scattered across the whole country. And now we can start inferring a little bit about the behavior of the people coming from UAE in the country. So we can see that these people are spending more money in Madrid, more money in Barcelona, and maybe here also in the coast, as you were saying. So these 2 spots, for example, are quite famous for tourists coming from the Arabic region, Marbella, Malaga. So all these Costa del Sol, it's very famous. So as you can see, there are a lot of transactions going on there as well, in the southern part of Spain. So we can start exploring the differences between each one of these segments. So in UAE, we can see that. So now let's take a look into United States was the other one, right? So I will reset it and then show United States. So this is the data coming from USA. What differences do you see between USA and the previous maps?
The volume.
The volume, yes.
Is this the map of the US?
This is the map of Spain.
And
This is the map of Spain. These are the transactions from American tourists, as it has here, tourists from United States of America in Spain. Okay. What else do you see apart from the volume?
There is like an action in the morning. With the UAE people, there was nothing in the morning.
So we can infer that these people maybe like to start their day later, right? So time, yes. What else? No other insights?
The north area.
Mm-hmm.
In UAE, there was no spot of the north area.
Yeah, so you have a lot of tourism here. So what you can infer is that American tourists are like spread across the whole country, and they have like a different pattern of behavior compared to the UAE people. Let's take a look to the last country that you have selected. So who has said China over here? Someone, right? Said China? Okay, good. So we will display China. So what do you see in China?
They like to walk a lot.
More concentrated, that's true.
Smaller volume.
Could be.
Not much traffic after for AM.
So they are quite concentrated in 2 cities only, compared to the other 2 countries. Like UAE, you have more tourists on the south. In this case, you have more tourists here and here. So, for example, you are a retail firm today. Imagine you're a Spanish retail firm. All of you are the heads of a Spanish retail firm. And you want to invest based on the data that this bank has shared with you. BBVA, I haven't mentioned this, BBVA is one of the largest banks in Spain. So the bank has shared with all of you, heads of the marketing department of this retail store, this information that we have seen. In which type of tourists will you invest more money? In Chinese tourists, in American tourists, or in Emirati tourists? American. Why?
They do a lot of transactions.
They do a lot of transactions, the volume, yes?
They shop a lot within they're more spread.
They are more spread, yes? A lot of them are using credit cards.
I may actually suggest Chinese because they are concentrated. You can open like 2 cities and you can predict their behavior.
Okay. Okay, I mean, you are giving good arguments, but the correct answer here is that I won't be able to take that decision because I don't have information. I'm using just the data visualization, which can give me the big picture of what's going on. So here, what we need to do is to look into the data, to look into different data to be able to understand what is the behavior behind the maps that we have seen. So what is the real data being displayed there in order to take a decision? So as I was telling you, a data visualization can help us in order to get the big picture of the situation. But in order to take a decision like this one, we need to run the numbers. We need to see the data that is behind this in order to take a decision. So let's take a look to the 3 countries, to the data that has been displayed over there, and then we make the decision. So the first one was UAE, right? This is the information from UAE being displayed. So you come from a retail, so I'm supposed you will be more interested in the category of fashion, right? If you are heads of the marketing department of a retail store. So UAE people, it's spending 32% of their average expenditure in fashion. That's the average expenditure by tourists. The average transaction that they do and the amount of visitors that you have on Spain. And this is the graphic going from Sunday to Saturday. So you can see the daily transaction trend and, the weekly transaction trend. And here you can see the daily transaction trend by hour. So as someone has said, they start their day, yes, at 12. That's true. So that's the reason why there were not many transactions in the morning. So remember this data here and this data here, because it will be important to take your final decision on which category you will invest money. United States of America. So United States of America, it's spending in fashion 23% of their expenses, and the average expenditure and the average transaction, it's much less compared to UAE. However, the number of visitors, it's much more bigger. Okay? And, well, as you can see, the graphics are also different compared to UAE in terms of week and in terms of day. And this is China. So Chinese tourists are very few in the country. You only have 12,000 visitors approximately, but the amount spent is 8 million, which is quite good. And the average transaction is almost 6 times the transaction coming from USA. Plus, 54% of them are spending in fashion category. This is the weekly transaction trend, and this is the daily transaction trend. As you can see, it's much more concentrated in the day in terms of hours they don't spend at night. So if I repeat the same question, if you are the head of a marketing department of a Spanish retail store and you want to invest on marketing efforts, on which category of these customers or these tourists will you invest? Who says American? 1, 2, 3. Who says 4? Who says Emirati? 1, 2, 3. Who says a Chinese? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. So here, if we start doing the numbers and we start simulating, doing some simulations, we will find that, yes, the most interesting segment will be Chinese. But what we'll need to do, obviously, is to increase the number of visitors, okay, in order to make these effective. But why Chinese visitors? Because, first of all, Chinese visitors are the ones that are investing more on this segment, which is fashion. Then, on top of that, they are the ones that are spending the largest amount of money. So they will be more likely, obviously, to spend money in my store as a retailer, than the other two categories. So, as we can see, here data can help us to take a decision based on the data visualization and the data behind the data visualization. This is a very simple question, but imagine if we are marketers, if we start analyzing this information behind this map, all the information in order to take effective decisions, the type of insights that we can get for our businesses. So this is why nowadays big data is essential for any marketing activity and for any marketing problem. So it can help us a lot to determine where should I invest my budget and my efforts. On top of this, why do you think that for a bank like BBVA, it's very important to collect all this information and produce this type of analysis if they're a financial services institution only?
Is it for free? Do you have to pay?
No, it's a data visualization that is on Google. So why do you think that for them it's relevant producing this type of analysis? For investments, yes. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Investments of what kind?
For example, I think the bank maybe deals in some investments or something with foreign investors or local investors, so you can like understand where to invest or how should you invest or something.
Yes, it could be. It could be.
It could help them with funding projects that serve as a certain category,
Mhm.
and it could help them with the fiscal policy or fiscal system in the country. So wherever there is a high exchange rate, for example, in Chinese, they
Mhm.
can recommend to the central bank or whatever regulatory to decrease the rate so more Chinese would be attracted to make more transactions.
That could be an option. I haven't heard that option before, but that could be an option, maybe. Analyzing and using this data smartly. That could be an option. What else? Thinking about marketing, what do you think that could be important in this example, on top of what we have discussed?
Where to advertise?
Where to advertise? Yes, I have already mentioned that. Where to advertise? Where should I invest my effort?
Opening branches for the bank, ATM machines.
Yes, that could be done, but it's not from the marketing perspective. That could be for the bank. Something very interesting here is that we're talking about a bank, and then we're talking about a retailer trying to use this information coming from the bank in order to impact their sales. So what we're talking about, it's a cross-selling project between two different companies, in this case the bank and the retailer. So nowadays, institutions like the bank, BBVA, or any other large institution telecom operators, banks, can combine different data sets from two different, let's say, companies, in this case the bank, and then the retailer. So they can start, for example, mixing this data and understanding what will be the advertisement, as you were saying, that they need to do to each one of these segments of customers. So imagine if, as a retailer, the largest department store in Spain, it's called El Corte Inglés. For those ones maybe who have been there, you remember this store. It's a very large one. So imagine if I am the Corte Inglés, and I combine the data set of all my customers with their nationalities, and I match that data with this data set that I have here. I can start extracting insights, and I can start creating clusters or segmentation of my customers based on, obviously, data science tools and big data technologies. So I can start analyzing complex data. I can even merge other variables, as social media, and I can start understanding exactly what my customer wants. What will be exactly the type of advertisement or the type of promotion that my Chinese customer is looking for, or my Emirati customer. Or even I can mix, maybe, across nationalities, other clusters that I don't know. So I can start creating clusters based on machine learning. So this is why it's so important for marketing nowadays to be aware of data science and understand how to use data science effectively in order to target people, as you were saying, in order to understand how to advertise. This could be an example. How to create my clusters, how to create my segmentation, and how to understand my customers. So I will go back to the presentation.
So I understood here that it's benefit for our, the benefit is for the retail guy or for the retail man. But for the bank, what is it for?
Well, the bank it's monetizing by sharing the data, because they won't share the data for free. So they will charge, obviously, the retailer in order to share that data, if the retailer wants access to that. And for the retailer, it's quite interesting to have large data sets coming from a financial institution in order to be able to merge it with their data sets. So for example, this could be a very complex problem, very interesting one, and there are companies in Spain that are doing this. Then also, a third thing enters here on this problem, what will be called the data privacy law. So depending on each country, companies and businesses can merge their data or not. So for example, I don't know here what's the data privacy law in Saudi Arabia. What's the data privacy law? Does anyone know? Can you do this type of projects, or no one knows? No? I mean, I don't know the legislation, so I don't know if this will be possible. Here in Spain, you can do it. From the customer information. Okay. In Spain, what you can do is to share the data if it's anonymized. So you can share that data on an anonymous way. And if you want to share it like on a non-anonymous way, the customer should sign expressly, okay, a disclosure. So it works like that. So Spain is one of the countries with the best data privacy law in the European Union.
Here in Saudi, the most rigid data privacy policy is in the monetary system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe in this case they can do this type of business, like a bank and a retailer, probably.
However, other sectors in the industry, like telecoms, they are having a lot of problems regarding the cleanness of their data and
Data.
integrated data in one certain company.
Okay. Okay. So this is big data use cases within businesses. So as you can see, the largest category, this data has been, I have taken this graphic from Forbes. As you can see, the largest category right now, it's a customer analytics. And this deals with marketing at the end. Why? Because as we were mentioning, this helps us in order to understand what my customer likes, what my customer is, to understand their behavior. So as you can see, most of the investment is going to customer analytics, on top of other things that you have here below. Operation analytics, fraud and compliance, new product and service innovation, or enterprise data warehouse operations. So this is the life cycle of of a customer? Okay, how can I generate value across the life cycle to my customer? And the thing here is that data science is entering into all this process, all this journey. So for marketing, this is quite relevant. As we have seen on the example before, we have, yes, explored there, okay, as a retailer, I can start understanding what are the motivations of my customers in order to buy, okay? And then from the data coming from the bank, I can start understanding ways in order to engage these customers, in order to make them attracted to my company, to my shop, to my store. So I can here highlight what's the value of analytics in this customer journey or in this customer lifetime. So it's quite important in order to reduce also data analysis, the churn of customers, which in many companies, this is one of the main problems. For example, telecom operators in Spain, I don't know here, but in Spain there are a lot of telecom operators. So there is a lot of fight between these telecom operators. How many telecom operators do you have here? Three? So are they very aggressive in their promotions in order to get customers? Sometimes? Not really? Yes? In Spain, they are very aggressive. So, for example, in order to reduce that churn, what a telecom operations company, what they will do is to start analyzing and making clusters of their customers in order to be able to predict, using predictive analytics, which is also a key concept on data science, predict which segment of customers will be more likely to become a churn to the company. And then understand from the marketing department what you need to do in order to keep that customer with you. What type of advertising this customer should receive in order to prevent them going off your company and going to the competitor. So this is why it's so important on the customer lifetime and the customer journey, the use of data science and analytics. So we have been talking a lot about data science. We have been talking about data analytics. But who is the expert in charge of doing all these things, the one in charge of taking all these decisions? It's a data scientist. So the data scientist has certain superpowers, okay, certain skills that should be developed. And these skills are business, technology and programming, communication, and statistics and mathematics. So the data scientist should possess these skills in order to become a successful person. Data science is a multidisciplinary job which combines mathematics, technology, and business strategy acumen. So data science, it's a combination of these three elements. So any data scientist should have these three big areas in order to be a successful person and understand how to take decisions, but also understand how to analyze that information. Data science requires constant improvement. So it's not just something about statistics or programming. So it's a 360 degrees profile that touches a lot of different areas, as we can see here. Obviously, there are some ones that are more relevant, as statistics, programming, or data management, or optimization. There are different types of data scientists, and this is also something important to clarify. Why? Because depending on the background of each one, you can become one data scientist or other type of data scientists. The most, I would say, famous ones are data business persons, who are the ones in charge of taking business decisions, and it's a T-shape because they have this skill set more developed, which is business, than the data developer, which have the programming skills set more developed than the others. Something very important to highlight on the data science field, it's the opportunities. So there are very few people actually with this mindset, with these skills developed. And as you can see, they are in high demand by all the companies, by all the businesses, by governments, because of the reasons that we have seen. If we take a look also into marketing, it's quite important to have these type of professionals within the department in order to be able to conduct this type of analysis. And this is the hiring scale of data science in the USA, which is the most developed and most mature market in the world in terms of data science. The nearest to 100, the most difficult is to hire a data scientist. And it's at 73%. So it's still very hard. So imagine in countries that are under development of this type of solutions, the amount of opportunities that you can have, and the amount of different projects that you can do, and innovation that you can actually bring into your company or into your business through the use of data science. It's huge. So before concluding, I just wanted to add two important aspects that should be also considered while talking about data. So who has heard about the data attacks, the cyber attacks that have happened like on the three last days since Friday? Raise your hands. All of you almost, right? So data has become the main asset of a company, as we have seen. So we need information, we need data in order to be able to operate every single day. But we need also to develop infrastructure in order to be able to secure that data, to protect the data. We have a lot of attacks coming on right now. So as you can see, cybersecurity also, it's transversal to any type of industry. This is very small because the screen is very big. I'm so sorry. But what you can see here, it's the industry drill down of the data attacks that have happened around the world on February 2017. And this drill down shows us how data can be hacked, can be taken in any type of industry right now. Why? Because data has become the main asset for any type of company, for any type of business, and for government as well. So before, only financial services institutions and the government used to protect their information. But nowadays, this has become quite critical, and data needs to be secured as well. So we have talked today about big data, about predictive analytics, real-time solutions, cybersecurity, machine learning, modeling as well. And all of these concepts are key to digital transformation. So we're living on a digital transformation era. Here we have three data-driven business models: transportation, Uber, hospitality or hotels, Airbnb, and music, Spotify. Do you know all of you these three businesses? Yes? What do they have in common? What do they have in common? What do these three data-driven business models have in common? Online, yes, they are connected online. What else? Sharing data, okay. No big competitor, you mean? Oh. Exactly. So they don't have. Exactly. You got it. You got it. Thank you. You got it. So what she has said, it's true. They don't have assets. But what's the main asset actually of Airbnb?
Only they have a service.
They don't own any.
They have data.
Exactly.
Any cars.
Exactly. So you two got it. They don't have assets, but their asset is data. So as we were saying, and many experts have mentioned this, data is the new oil. So data is the main asset for these companies. So as you can see, these companies have disrupted every of these categories. They have disrupted transportation, they have disrupted hospitality, they have disrupted the music industry. So which is the company that is moving more people in the world right now? Uber, okay, around the whole world. And they possess 0 cars, as you were saying. What's the company that it's reserving or booking more rooms? It's Airbnb. It's not any hospitality or hotels company. And they have 0 hotels because they are using the rooms of other people in order to be booked. Which is the company that is selling more music? It's Spotify. And they have 0 music studios. And the music that is selling more movies, it's Netflix. The company that is selling more movies, it's Netflix. And they have 0 movie studios. So as we can see, the new leaders have 0 physical assets. They only have data. And this is why data is so important nowadays in order to produce any type of innovation, in order to bring new businesses. So data is eating the world. And the world has already changed. That's the key message here today. So we need to think about data. We need to think about technology. take a look to this last slide, automation sector. So we were discussing the examples at the beginning. I left this one at the end because it's a very interesting one in order to discuss. So I assume that all of you have heard about the self-driving cars that are being developed by many companies. One example is Google. So this is a connected object. So we're entering also into the IoT era, Internet of Things era, which a lot of objects will be connected from now on till 2022-25. So this connected car or self-driving car will operate based on the machine learning algorithms that are defined by the data scientist. So the data scientist will be the one in charge of ingesting data and training this machine in order to be able to operate on a single daily basis. But what will happen if this object is hacked, for example? There will be accidents.
Their value will turn up to zero directly. That will mess up their whole data.
Yeah, the value turns, that's a very interesting point. The value turns to zero, okay. But what's the risk here? And this is very important because I have heard this in San Francisco. I was in a conference in February, the largest cybersecurity conference in the world, the RSA. And what they are saying, yes, the value goes to zero of that company. But who cares about that? Well, a large company like Google or IBM, maybe, they will care about that because they're a big company. But if you're a startup and you start developing connected objects, then you declare yourself in bankruptcy and that's it. And the damage here and the danger here is that these objects can be hacked in order to do terrorism attacks, for example, or for malicious purposes. And then that company says, okay, it's not my fault. I declare bankruptcy. I cannot, obviously confront the demand, okay, of all the damage that I have done, right? So imagine how harmful could be not regulating this type of objects, which are related as well to security purposes. So I like this example a lot in order to put everyone in context and think about artificial intelligence, about technology, about data science, and also about cybersecurity. Because we need to start thinking about all these different elements that are part of our lives right now. As I was saying, the world has already changed. So we're living on this fourth industrial revolution, as many experts on the topic mentioned. So in order to close, this is just one simple example of artificial intelligence. It's a bot. This bot was created by our students at the school. A very basic bot that helps us in order to interact with the students that are coming to Madrid. So this reduces obviously a lot our workload because we receive a lot of questions through the bot and the bot helps also people getting their answers. This is also one example of artificial intelligence and simple one that can improve a lot on a customer experience in a company. So the bot can improve amazingly the experience between the customer and the company. So with that, I would like to close today's presentation, and I hope that you enjoyed and you have learned something new, and I would like to open now the space for any questions that you might have related to the topic or to something else.
So, can I really trust the value of the data that I have to make my profit? Or it depends really on too many stuff to have it very valuable data to rely on my profit?
You mean your data to be analyzed in your project?
Yes.
The data that you will use to ingest into your model, right? So that's a very important part as well. When you are analyzing information, obviously you need to be sure that data is of good quality. Otherwise, if you use data that is not accurate, you will have an output that is not accurate as well. And whatever is your finding will be wrong. So you need to understand, first of all, in order to avoid that, what's your business question? As I was explaining on the Singapore example, you need to understand what's your business question, what do you need to address? And in order to solve that business question, what's the type of data that you will need in order to be accurate? Okay? Then you need to clean that data, to take out that noise, let's say, in the data. So there are softwares that you can use in order to do that, okay? Or you can, if it's a simple data set, you can clean it, okay? On Excel, if it's simple.
So even if I did, if I cleaned it, if it was perfect and it was very valuable in the market, how much does it work? That's the end of the day. That's you can say I won or I lost. So.
Well, you will see that depending on the impact that you have on revenues. For example, if you are doing a data science project, think about the retailer that we were discussing on the example. So if I'm the retailer, I do all my modeling, my data analysis, then if my sales don't grow up, then that project won't have worked, okay? What we have on the practice and on the experience is that when you address a correct question, you ingest the correct data, and you produce the analysis of that data correctly, then the impact on the revenues, it's positive, okay? Trustable and positive. Sorry? Yes, I can take more questions. Yeah.
So, excuse me. So I have a economics background in my bachelor degree, and I'm studying in statistics a decision science degree in my master. And I'm taking actually also a Udacity nano degree course in data analytics. So I'm wondering what's the next step in order to...
Ah, that's for me, okay. Arabic, okay, wow.
So I'm wondering what's the next step for me in order to move on to...
صلاح اخواننا نكون الان بندخل في موضوع الاسئله لكم جميعا، ويكون الاسئله باللغه العربيه بحيث توصل الترجمه بحيث يستفيد الجميع. سؤالك وجه بالعربي له ويكون الترجمه موجوده له ويجاوبك.
طيب أعيد سؤال بالعربي. أنا الآن أدرس خلفيتي درجة البكالوريوس كانت اقتصاد، والآن أدرس في جامعة الملك سعود في تخصص في الإحصاء اللي هو علوم القرارات، وأخذت شهادة والحين قاعد أدرس برضه مايو ديجري تبع أوداسيتي في الداتا أناليتكس. السؤال هل وش الطريقة وش الخطوات اللي أقدر أخذها عشان أطور نفسي وأستعد أكثر لأكون داتا ساينتست بالنسبة للشركات اللي تبحث عن داتا ساينتست؟
Well, first of all, one important thing is that you're an economist from your bachelor degree background, which is good. Once I have heard on Silicon Valley that the big companies preferred economists as data scientists. Why? Because the economists have the business background already. They are very good at numbers in terms of analytical mindset. Why? Because they have worked a lot with econometrics while they were at their bachelor degree, which is good in order to be able to understand modeling and understand how to code, how to develop algorithms, complex algorithms. So that's good. So what will be the next step? You are working already in analytics, which is good. So maybe what you need to emphasize more is the technology side, the big data technology side, in order to be able to combine that background from economics with a formal education on data science.
Okay.
Okay?
Would that be like a master degree or something like that? Is it? Okay, so higher education.
It could be that, yes.
Okay.
It could be a master degree that that compensates that side of your economics background with this analytics experience, plus formal education in data science.
Okay, thanks.
الأخوات إذا في سؤال تفضل.
لو سمحت في بالنسبة في مثلا موقع انه trusted يعني موثوق انه ممكن ناخذ منه الداتا بحيث انه نستعمله ويكون فري يعني ما يكون عليه اي دفع.
Well, this depends on the project that you're analyzing. First of all, so There are a lot of initiatives that are called open data projects. A lot of governments, for example, in Europe, like Madrid government or London government, or even in the US, New York government, they have open data. So it's data that it's available to everyone, and you can download that data in order to analyze it, to play with that data, and to present projects. So there are a lot also of hackathons going on around the world currently in order to give the opportunity to all these people who are passionate about data science to use this type of data, open data that you have, and present innovative solutions for a particular problem. Okay, so it depends on the project that you're running, the type of data that you will collect. Sometimes it's really challenging when you're not talking about open data, because to find the correct data set on internet, it's difficult sometimes.
الأخوات سؤال ثاني من عندكم برضو؟ تفضلي.
أنا أحب أضيف بالنسبة للأوبن داتا. There is a website. It's called Gapminder. It has open data. Also هيئة الإحصاء في open source, I think. Open data.
Okay.
وين المايك؟ عندك الأخ.
أشكر ماركوس. استعرض موقع BBVA tourism.visualizity.com. موقع كان جميل جدا في استعراضه، يمشي بالتايم لاين ويعرض إحصائيات على الدول. أخذنا US، أخذنا إمارات. أنا أبغى أعرف وش اللي وراء هذا الموقع، كيف بني هذا الموقع، ايش الماشين ليرنينج او الداتا مايننج اللي خلفها، التولز اللي استخدمت حتى يظهر هذا الموقع بافضل حله جميله جدا. ابغى التولز هذه اللي خلف
So this is a very interesting website. This technology, it's called Carto. It's like it's a data visualization tool like Tableau. I don't know if you're familiar maybe with Tableau. It's one of the most popular ones in the market. So this one, it's called Carto, and this one was developed. This tool was developed by an IE business school alumni. So they have branches in Madrid and New York, and this visualization was on using that tool from the bank. What is behind the visualization is the data that we were displaying on the summary of the trends. So you remember this data coming from China, this number of visitors, the amount spent, and the categories. This is the data behind the visualization. So you ingest all that data into your visualization, and you produce those dots showing the number of transactions there in real time. Okay?
تفضلي.
لو أحد عنده تكنيكال باك جراوند بس ما
صوت شوي.
لو أحد عنده تكنيكال باك جراوند بس ما عنده البزنس باك جراوند، كيف إيش يحتاج عشان يصير داتا ساينتست؟
Absolutely. Someone that possesses a technical background obviously needs to complement their background with business understanding. So if you remember this slide with the super guy there in the middle, he had like different skills. So one of the skills is technology skills and programming skills, but you need to complement as well with the communication skills and the business skills. And this also, comparing to the answer that I was giving before, can complement your profile. So when you want to become a data scientist, you need to think about complementing your profile as a whole. So you might have maybe one set of skills, but you need to complement it with the other sets of skills in order to make it a 360 degrees profile, which will become a data scientist. But yes, it's possible.
تفضل.
صراحة في سؤال، إذا لم نستخدم المعلومة بالشكل الصحيح في الوقت الصحيح راح تكون معلومة خاسرة، وكيف نبدأ نحول المعلومة الخاسرة أو الغير مربحة إلى معلومة مربحة؟
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
If we don't use the data in right time and in right place, will be the data useless for us? How to shift the useless data to helpful data?
Well, I mean, at the end, okay, the users data, it's because it's not relevant to your problem. So companies, the challenge that big companies are facing right now, it's not data collection, because they already have data collected. I was talking to a student at IE, an executive student, CEO of a pharmaceutical company in Nigeria, and they were explaining us that, for example, in Nigeria, pharma companies have like tons of information. So there is no useless and useful data. Here the problem is that they don't know which kind of questions they should pose to that information in order to extract relevant values. And this is where they are struggling. So when they find the correct questions, what they need to do is to pick the useful data only. And the useless one obviously won't be relevant to that particular model. Okay? So it depends on the project that you are defining. Maybe that uses data in that project and in that particular model will be useful for other model.
تفضل.
بالنسبة
أي.
بالنسبة لتحليل البيانات الضخمة يبدو أنه موضوع جديد يعني حصل في السنوات القريبة. اللي أشاهده أن من يملكون المعلومة هم اللي يستفيدون منها وكذلك بعض الجهات البحثية أو الأكاديمية.
The translator cannot hear you.
تحليل البيانات الضخمة هو موضوع يبدو جديد خلال السنوات القريبة الماضية. يعني لاحظ أن اللي يستفيد من المعلومة الذي فقط يملكها قد تكون معلومات تنافسية فما يبثونها للآخرين أو الجهات البحثية. هل يوجد مبادرة عالمية يعني لحث الحكومات والشركات وحتى الجهات البحثية لنشر البيانات في قوالب معينة للاستفادة منها سواء كانت في البزنس أو كانت في لأغراض أخرى؟
As I was explaining on the question before here of open data, the data that is public to everyone and that people can benefit from is the data that a government can publish. Or if a company, for example, wants to make their data public, which I don't think they will because they earn money, obviously, and it's private information from their customers, so it's quite delicate if they publish the information like that, so they won't do it. Who can benefit from that? Well, the government, for example, by doing open data projects, anonymous data that they can use in order to develop new initiatives in the city, as the governments of London or New York are doing with their information. This can be possible. But a private company sharing data, like publicity, like in internet, that won't happen. No, I'm talking about information in general. Information in general. For example, this type of initiatives are done by government. You need to think also about all the legislation that each country has, and the legislations are different in each country. Because at the end, this also deals with law. Which data are you able to publish? Which data are you not allowed to publish? So this will depend also on the law of each country.
تفضل.
ودي أسأل بخصوص عندي بيانات من تأجير سيارات ودي أعرف وش البيانات الكافية للاستفادة من هالبيانات نطلع منها أي بزنس موديل علما بأن الفيتشرز حقت الداتا يعني بيسك.
Well, that's a particular then case, and it depends on what would you like to analyze, what type of project would you like to do there in the car renting.
So for example, I want to increase one of the products, like for example Toyota Camry. I want to increase the rental amount on that car, for example. But the problem that my question is, what is the like enough information data? Is it like for 1 year, 2 year of the database?
To be honest, as much as you can use as ingestion, it's better because it will help the model to become more accurate. So the more data you can bring into, the more historical data you have, the more accurate will be the model. Why? Because you are putting much more data in order to find those patterns. So statistically speaking, with more data, you will be able to find more accurate solutions.
What about the overfitting problem? Like if we increase the data, it could lead to maybe maybe a different pattern, or like 3 years ago, it's not like 2 years ago. The behavior of the customer is going to change.
It depends on which variables you are using, okay? Because there are also economical values, variables, that could affect what you are saying and could overfit the model and then lead also to a misconception. So here in this case, we will need to check which variables you have exactly in order to be included or not, depending on the impact that they could bring. And if they could make the model not accurate, or they can help to the accuracy of the model. So this will need to be determined as well, using statistics. So you need to check also the correlation between the variables, if they are correlated or not correlated, for example.
Thank you, Mr. Marcus.
تفضل.
اوكي شكرا جزيلا للجهه المنظمه والاستاذ ماركوس. انا بس تعقيب على سؤال الاخ صاحب الخلفيه الاقتصاديه. انا برضو خلفيتي والبكالوريوس والماستر كلها في الماركتينج. فانا سؤالي بخصوص هل في مراجع الواحد يقدر يعرف منها المهارات المطلوبه في تحليل البيج داتا، سواء ويب سايتس او كتب او معاهد او يعني جهات تعليميه معينه الواحد ياخذ منها المهارات او السكيلز المطلوبه في التحليل. هذا السؤال الاول. السؤال الثاني هو ذكر انه في مبادرات للاوبن داتا، هل في اسماء معينه ولا فقط مثلا نحن نبحث في الانترنت باسم اوبن داتا؟ شكرا.
So regarding the first part of your question about books, there is a lot of bibliography on internet. For example, the book that I have shown, the red book from O'Reilly Strata, they have a series of books quite useful in order to understand what is data modeling, what is data evaluation, what is data validation, data collection, the different types of data scientists, which is the picture that I have shown. So these are readings that you can start doing in order to get more familiar to the topic of data science. Then the second part of your question was who is leading, right, the open data project. So data open projects basically are led by governments. So governments put their data. It's called open data because it's available for everyone on the website of the government. And then these projects are called open because any type of data scientists or developers can use this data in order to present projects and initiatives. So one thing, for example, I was invited some months ago to the Future Accelerator in Dubai, and they were explaining us that Dubai government, for example, was doing this type of initiatives, like sharing data with the teams there. So they give them like a task, and then they share data, and then the best team that wins the competition is the team that gets the project. So then this team develops that project for the government, and this is a way of developing new businesses as well, helping entrepreneurs, and at the end doing an impact through an open data project, for example.
تفضل.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. And there is a certain word I was looking for in the presentation, which is econometrics. I didn't find this word. I mean, when I heard about big data, I thought that would be like a new technique or statistical development in econometric to analyze this big data. Even in the master degree you mentioned at the end of your presentation, is there any development in econometrics way to analyze this big data, or is it just a normal econometric techniques that used to analyze those data?
What you're using actually in order to analyze these data, okay? First of all, it depends on the volume of the data that you will be analyzing. Then
when we say big data,
yes,
in terms of matrix, how big are we talking about?
It depends on the project that you're doing, okay? Big could be lots of petabytes, for example, of data that you need to ingest into your model. That will be complex, okay? As soon as you cannot fit the data, for example, on a spreadsheet of Excel, which has like 50,000 something rows, or if you are using complex formats and sources of data, could be videos, images, or text, you need to do data mining in order to extract, okay, relevant insights out from that text. So this will be the complexity of the data. Then the type of models that you use are based basically on machine learning. And machine learning is based on statistics. So at the end, okay, And the data scientists should understand perfectly the basics of statistics, of simulation, classic statistics, classic simulation, in order to be able to combine these classic concepts with technology. And then make this analysis powerful, obviously, by the combination of statistics with technology.
No, but what I'm talking about is there like a new development in econometrics analysis when it's come to big data? For example, let's say that I'm working on 200,000 row, for example. That is, I'm working on Stata. Forget about Excel. Is there a certain techniques used in those kind of big data?
Yeah, of course. For example, if we think about one of the examples that I was mentioning, combining, for example, going back to the telecommunications operator, if you want to reduce the churn, for example, of your customers, that is a complex problem. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of customers, much more than 200,000 customers. So what you need to analyze, it's the behavior of these customers. How will you create clusters of these customers? Then in order to create those clusters, you need techniques of data science. Which software can help you in order to do this? For example, SAS or SPSS can help you in order to do this. And then you create the clusters using these technology tools, which at the end are based on statistics in order to be able to find these patterns.
Okay, thank
you. ناخذ آخر سؤال، تفضل.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for your wonderful presentation. Actually, it was very useful for me. My question, actually, you just answered to my colleague here, the relation between using a statistical application like SPSS and how to analyze big data. My second question, what are popular methods or websites or tools we can use to analyze big data?
You can use two, sorry?
Tools. What are popular tools or methods or websites we can use to analyze big data?
To analyze big data?
To analyze big data, yes.
To analyze, well, as I was telling to your colleague here, first of all, okay, it depends on the problem. It also depends on the company. So some companies, the largest tool used in the market right now, it's SAS. This is the largest solution being used for this type of analysis. So a lot of companies use this. Some others use the SPSS solution, for example. So then this depends on the company. When you are evaluating different softwares, okay, and the IT department, the technology management department should choose one based obviously on their budget, okay, and the proposal of the company. So when you take that decision, it will be based on that. But you have like the two most popular options are these ones on the market currently.
Thank you.
باسم غرفة الرياض نشكركم جميعا على الحضور، وإن شاء الله نلتقي فيكم في المحاضرة القادمة بعد الصيف، حتكون عن التسويق الإلكتروني بمشيئة الله، وستصلكم رسائل على الجوال إن شاء الله. شكرا لكم.